Hey everyone, my name is Christian Ramirez and welcome back to my channel Transcendence. On today's episode, I am going to talk about two other experiences that I've had with sleep paralysis. So when I first came out to North Carolina, I went to stay for the summer with my cousins and my aunt and uncle, and they were staying at a house at the time. They no longer live at the same place. In one particular night, I was sharing a room with my cousin. He was sleeping on his bed, and I was sleeping on the floor with a bunch of blankets and pillows. And I woke up about 3 a.m. in the morning, around that time. And I remember checking to see what time it was and saying, I'm going to go back to sleep. Even though I didn't have to go to school or work or something the next day, I like to check what time it is to see, just out of curiosity. So I did that, then I laid back down, and then all of a sudden it felt like a kind of like an invisible sheet. It's the best way I can describe it, like the feeling of it. An invisible sheet, like bed sheet almost. You can't see it. It just like placed itself on top of me, and then all of a sudden I couldn't move my body. Now this is very different from the last sleep paralysis story I told you about, because I was able to move beforehand. Well, to be honest, in that last experience, I was able to move beforehand too, so that's what's very strange. Apparently, sleep paralysis, when you experience it, it's when your mind's awake and your body's asleep still. But I had just been moving, so I wasn't even fully asleep yet, so it was kind of strange. But either way, I couldn't move my body, couldn't scream again, got that rasp in my throat, couldn't actually yell out, and I started to panic. So I started to try to scream out my cousin's name. Even though it was raspy, I was desperate. So I was like, I'm going to keep trying. And while this was all happening, all of a sudden, I could feel like hands. Like, I can't even tell you what kind of hands because I had blankets over me, but it just felt like hands slowly starting from my feet, going like all the way up my body. Now, this is extremely terrifying. I was extremely terrified at this moment. And when it almost got up to my face, like, or like the chest area, all of a sudden I was yanked up onto my cousin's bed, and it snapped me out of it just like that. And I was so ecstatic about this because I was like, oh my God, maybe he saw something, because nobody's ever been like seen what happened to me when this experience is happening. So I asked him about it, and he had said that all he could see, he didn't see anyone in the room, but he saw my arm was raised up towards the ceiling, which is strange because to me, in my perspective, it felt like my arms were at my side and I could still see what was going on. I was panicking and freaking out, but I don't remember or felt like my arm was raised up, but it makes sense because he's the one who pulled me out of it. And he pulled me so hard I got yanked up onto his bed, and I couldn't go back to sleep. My aunt was like praying for me, doing stuff, and the only other thing I could find out was that behind that house they had like a forest or something, and there was some, I don't know, I'm trying to remember if it were slaves back there or like some natives from a long time ago or something who lived back there who had died or something. And there was talk about it being haunted. Can't say it's related to this experience per se, but it's the only thing I had to go off of. But it scared me. I had trouble going back to sleep after that. And I didn't want to go back to sleep. I didn't want to go to sleep alone again for that entire summer after that experience. And it freaked me the hell out. Now, the other experience that I had was when I was living in Denver. I was living with an ex at the time. And I was looking more into the near-death experiences and sleep paralysis and all of that stuff. What it means, what it's like from people who have experienced it, just like I have, seeing shadow beings and all that. What they started to describe was that when you go into sleep paralysis, it's the perfect time to astral project because your body's asleep, but your mind is awake. And your body, your brain body will do this so that you don't act out your dreams and stuff. That's what they say anyway. But I wanted to understand, so I kept digging, and I'm like, okay, I can try it. But in order to actually astral project when you're having a sleep paralysis experience, now this is the catch, this is the hard part, you have to actually calm down. You have to actually go into a state of mind where you're okay, don't worry, nothing's going to happen, I'm in a safe space. And this is a lot easier for me to do because I was sleeping next to someone this time. They were in the same bed as me, so I felt a little more comfortable during the experience. And they say you got to relax. You're in a very conscious state in that reality. So what you think about, you can draw in towards your experience. So you think about scary things, scary shit will happen. You think about good things can happen. So I tried. I was like, I'm going to give it a shot, do the best I can. I actually got to a very relaxed state. And when I did this, all of a sudden, the next thing that happened came true, just like they said. And again, I saw this from people on YouTube, so take that for what you will. That's where I started to learn, by gathering experiences from other people. So they said you'll start to hear a noise, a high-pitched noise, kind of like a white noise, like the static on a television set. When you go to the channel and there's nothing there. I'm sure many of you have experienced that. I started to hear this, and it got louder and louder. And they said not to panic, not to freak out. Sometimes it can get so loud you feel like you're going to go deaf, but it's not actually something you're hearing with your ears. They say it's the pineal gland that you're actually hearing with. I have no idea if that's true, but that's what I started to hear. It got very, very loud, very high pitched. And at that point, they talk about different techniques you can use to try to leave your body. There's different kinds of techniques you'll hear about, like the rope technique or the rollover technique. I'll get into that probably in a future episode or something. But I actually started to leave my body. I didn't do any of those techniques. I just remember actually like starting to come out of my body. I actually started to float upwards towards the ceiling. And I got excited and scared at the same time. And it's important to note that they say if you get too excited, you can mess it up and you'll snap out of it. If you get too frightened, you can mess it up and snap out of it. So you have to maintain a sense of curiosity. And I was trying, but I got very close to the ceiling, and I don't know what happened. Maybe I got too excited, too frightened of the unknown, but I snapped back into my body like a rubber band, just like that. My body jolted. It jolted so hard that I actually woke up my ex next to me, and she asked me if I was okay, and I was excited and frantic at the same time. I'm like, oh my God, I did it. I left my body. This is real. You can do this. And it really is. You can, once you actually have this experience, it's undeniable. You'll then realize that you aren't your body. This body is just a temporary vehicle. And it helped me relate to another experience I had where I was in the hospital under general anesthesia, but I was a kid at the time. So I thought it was just a dream. I didn't know anything about near-death experiences, leaving the body, any of that. And I found out later that you can't dream under general anesthesia. So if you can't dream, where did I go? Because it felt like an experience. I actually went somewhere. As soon as I knocked out, as soon as I conked out, I was going somewhere. And it just became very apparent that there's something more going on that we don't understand yet, not fully. We're actually starting to understand it more with near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, astral projection. People talk about this. Remote viewing is something that they talk about. The CIA has actually looked into and had projects with remote viewing, and they actually, on their website, this is publicly disclosed, but the CIA actually disclosed a lot of some of their projects, and you can actually find the files. It's not advertised on their website, but you can actually go to their website to find the PDF files where they have signed paperwork saying that they actually did use this remote viewing techniques. And it begs the question, if this is all made up and it's not real, why the interest? Why did they look into this so deeply? And what's going on here? There's something more that is going on here than a lot of people like to admit. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this snapshot of my experience, and be sure to include more content in future episodes, future experiences for me. other things, strange things, ghosts, weird stories that have happened to me. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification icon so you can be notified when new content drops. It does take a lot of effort to make episodes like this, so I appreciate it. And until then, I'll catch you guys on the other side.